Welcome back to Let's Talk Boobs. We're on round 3 of conspiracies, and I know somewhere in the
What did we talk about in the other rounds?
Well, in the last round, in round 2, we were kind of talking about Paul McCartney, and there was a little bit more that I wanted to touch on, but we kind of were running out of time. So,
Real quick, what are these delicious beverages we're about to do?
I don't know.
That is so appropriate.
It's called the Alien Probe. And we again have our... Here's to me, here's to conspiracy, here's to you, and the man that didn't walk on the moon. So, we were...
I love you.
I love you. Aw, thanks, man. You're just saying that because we're on camera. So, we were talking about Paul McCartney, and there's a little bit more that I wanted to add to, just a little bit into it. But in this round, I mainly want to talk about, people who don't believe in gravity and flat earthers. And we want to touch on a stunt devil-ish called Mad Mike Hughes. So, that's kind of like just a little outline of what we're going to talk about. But I did want to say that... what was the Abbey Road?
Abbey Road.
So on the Abbey Road cover, it's the iconic walking across the street, and so on that cover,
It probably is the most famous Beatles album cover that's out there.
And people recreate it all the time. It's very iconic. And so...
Because I believe that the order in which they're standing is John Lennon, George Harrison...
No.
Paul McCartney.
It's John, Ringo, Paul, and then George.
So it's John Lennon.
Because John's dressed in
Ringo,
white, and he's basically supposed to portray like a preacher or like a clergyman.
Okay.
Clergyman.
And then Ringo.
And then Ringo's second, and he was supposed to be like a mourner in black,
Right.
kind of like a pallbearer or.
Then Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney. Oh, I got you doing it now. Who said Paul McCartney? No, bitch. Anyways, Paul McCartney is he's barefoot, and also the position of his legs is completely different, and it's supposed to insinuate that he's dead. He doesn't need shoes.
I believe that all the other three are left leg first, and he's right leg first. So when you see him in the album cover, 3 of them are doing this, and he's doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like
that.
that.
So he's the one that stands out, and he's also barefoot. But also, George Harrison is dressed in jeans, which I feel like this is a stretch, and he's supposed to be the grave digger. And so I thought that was, I was like, okay, I got you for the first 2, got you for Paul. And then I was like, really? Just because he's wearing jeans, he's the grave digger? And so I was like, all right, this is a bit of a stretch.
Oh,
but
you know what, though? I can almost see that. Because... So are the other ones wearing, like, pants?
They're all wearing suits.
Okay.
So Paul is wearing, like, a gray suit.
So
like, he would just be, like, in the,
Right.
And then Ringo is in a black suit. And then John's in a white suit. And then George Harrison's in kind of like a jean suit. He's wearing a jean jacket and a jean
I could see how that goes,
pants.
because the grave digger would be
The
manual labor, where everybody's wearing suit pants.
And
Everybody's wearing
as well,
suit
because
pants.
you see the preacher for the wake, and then and then they have the pallbearers that bring them to the hearse.
It's a pretty good.
And then,
it's a pretty good throw out there.
I mean, that's true.
I'm not saying I believe
I still
it,
think
but
that the jean
I think it's
thing
kind
having him as gravedigger is a bit of a stretch.
Right.
But I just wanted, that was something that I didn't have a chance to do due to time to put out there.
Did you say doo-doo time?
Due to time. And I just kind of wanted to touch on that. But this round's mainly about like the conspiracy of flat earthers and gravity, or lack thereof, I should say.
What exactly is a flat earther?
You tell me about this. It's basically a person that believes that the Earth is flat, but there's many theories in that theory of flat earthers. Like,
they argue that the Earth is not round. And
well, it is round, but it's flat round.
Right, but they argue, spherical.
Spherical.
They argue that the Earth is not a sphere.
It's just a circle.
And there are many conspiracies that go with this, depending on I think which flat earther you talking about, because some of them, part of it is like they incorporate NASA and being part of the conspiracy theorists
Of all the satellite images and
Right.
yeah.
that they were an organization built
To just fuck with people's heads.
no to be the like for flat earthers. NASA's the conspiracy theorists. You know what I'm saying? Like in their mind, the Earth is flat, and there's these round earthers that are trying to convince people that it's round, and that's what NASA is to them.
Oh, okay.
Is that NASA's trying to convince people that the Earth is round. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that
It's proof.
Isaac Newton and
So going
Pascal,
into that,
there's all sorts of people that were saying the Earth is round.
which so you know, in dealing with flat earthers and people who don't believe in gravity, so I thought it was just mind blowing because I was like, if you believe the Earth is flat, but you don't believe in gravity, I was like, wouldn't you just fall off the end of the Earth? So there's two things. Flat earthers think that like Antarctica and like the North Pole are like ice walls, and that's where the Earth stops, and then you just go around in a circle. But
Like it steers you off, like you get to a certain point and then you just start flying around in circles.
And so there's the other thing where people think that Earth is just like this flat circle that is traveling forward, the force forward, and so it kind of just like negates the theory of relativity, and so that's why gravity happens, is because the Earth is just moving up. It's not moving around, and there's not a force that collapses it or just pulls down in a spherical, creating a core. It's a flat surface that is just constantly pushing up, increasing in speed, yet it is yet to increase in speed beyond the speed of light. And so you can't, like, it negates, like, Einstein's whole theory of relativity and everything like that. That's what I was very intrigued about that, because I was like, that's very interesting. So maybe that's why they think that gravity doesn't exist along with
wondering where Daredevil, Mad Mike Hughes, lands in this conspiracy theory.
So you know a little bit more about.
And I'm looking at the page right now. But all right, so me and a friend of mine, we had, or let me just say, a friend of mine had been a flat Earth troller for fun for a while, where he would go onto flat Earth forums and he'd be like, "Hey, you know, what's going on? I'm a flat Earther." And then it would get into these weird arguments, and he'd be like,
"Is that how his internet voice is? Like when he's typing?"
Well, I mean, this is I'm gonna get to know your voice. And
do you sit next to him while he's typing, and that's how he's
No, I mean, the only way he can do it is if I'm like, so I mean, if I don't sit there, so when we get to the point where he's like, he gets invested in the ability for somebody to leave the scientific facts behind.
Yeah.
And so, like, he draws me in a little bit, and then I remember hearing online a story of a guy who was a flat earther who had decided that he was going to build his own rocket, launch himself into the atmosphere to prove that the Earth is flat. Well, the great thing for me...
you were telling me about this, and you were like, there's a guy out there, and he almost killed himself doing it.
Right.
So then he goes and he researches this article, and then what did you find?
Okay, so the first time he wrecks it and almost kills himself. I didn't know there was a second time. By the time I'm talking to Bubes, now in February, there was a third
launch
that this guy's like, you know what, I am determined to prove that the Earth is flat. And he was able to determine that gravity is real, and he crash landed into the Earth and killed himself.
Jason's like, I'm going to prove the Earth is flat.
Right.
He's like, but by realizing it's very hard when I crashed into it with gravity.
Mad Mike Hughes realized whether the Earth is flat or whether it is round, gravity is going to pull you to the Earth so quickly that you are not going to survive for a fourth go round.
So, see, I guess I just have been hanging around with like more intelligent people that I didn't realize that there were people out there that just, I mean, I knew about the moon landing and people didn't think the moon landing was real, but I didn't realize there were people out there that really fucking thought the gravity didn't exist or that the Earth is flat. I was like, really?
But this
when I met Jose, I was like, mind blown. And then I actually like looked into it and I talked to Colby about it and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like there are people, but because like I've just not met people that have believed that.
I feel like it's dangerous though, because all right, so
dangerous how? What's dangerous?
Okay, so with the coronavirus that's going on right now, there's a buddy of mine that this is the conspiracy.
Oh, definitely.
The whole global pandemic is the conspiracy so that you get this vaccine.
Also, if you guys haven't seen, what's the preacher?
Oh,
Kirk Rothman.
It's almost like
oh, wait,
Ken
it's on my
Kesey.
phone.
Yeah.
Hold on. Y'all have to watch this video, and it's so fucking funny.
But to me,
it's called Ken Copeland's Wind of God.
I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! COVID-19! COVID-19!
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, COVID-19. But to me, I think it's dangerous to a degree. And there was discussions before, you know, how there was, all right, so the vaccinations that you give your child, and you have a kid, you have a child.
Yeah, I was kind of scared to give her vaccines, but I'm like, I'm not going to give her vaccines.
So at some point you have to choose science.
Yeah.
Or you have to choose to go that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that science is right every time,
well,
but I would prefer to put my decision on science instead of Alex Jones or this crazy preacher.
Well,
like
I have a friend that, like, her son is autistic, and she was like, I know when it happened. It was like, she's like, after he had this shot, like, the kind of, like, the realization kind of came out of his eyes, and, like, he kind of went off, and she's like, I know the moment that it happened. And so...
But the one thing, too...
I'm still kind of on the fence with vaccines, but I am too scared to not give my kid vaccine.
I feel like the one thing, too, is for everything that has a benefit to that degree, there may be... I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's cool. And I have sympathy for anybody who...
suffers from...
99% out of the time of 6 billion people... a few people get autism. Now
it's not that. It's one in every 5 boys. It's pretty, and it's especially high in boys. It really is.
Right, but this is speculative. We're not. There is no science that says 1 out of 5. There is no science at all.
Well, I mean,
that backs this.
Oh no, but it said no. It does say 1 in every 5 boys have autism. In the pregnancy books that I read, because I was freaking out, because I was like, holy shit, that's a pretty fucking high number. And
I would have to see that. I would find it very hard to believe that somebody would give you a shot and say that you have a 1 in 5 chance that your kid gets autism.
They didn't say specifically for the shot. They're just saying, like, now it's so high with autism, 1 in every 5
That's what we're talking about. No. What I'm saying is, no, I disagree with that. There's no way that one in 5 of...
That's what I thought, and I was hold on, let's look it up. Because it blew my mind at the statistic behind it.
But this is what I'm saying is, we're now maybe spawning and breeding a rumor that you're not a doctor. No. Hold on, you're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying there isn't some sort of... Jenny McCarthy is fought vaccinations. Rob Schneider has too. I'm not saying that there aren't smart people that don't follow this as a thing. I'm saying...
So 15% it says, 1 in 59 children. But it definitely is higher for guys.
1 in 59.
Yeah.
That is not 15%.
Well, I know. I don't know. I'm just saying that's the title of it. But when I was reading my pregnancy books and I was reading about vaccines, because I was like, I'm a parent. I should worry about this. I should be knowledgeable in this decision because it is a huge decision or it's a big deal for people. And so I was like, you can't get in daycares and everything. And I was like, I would much rather my kid not get chickenpox. But I don't know. I don't know the difference between like the spacing out of the vaccines that I got as a kid for me because now there's so many vaccines out that they give you shit tons all at once. So that could be the
Right.
case. I mean, they do space them out, but there's still so many more vaccines than we got as
Right.
kids.
But
that,
what I'm saying
yeah,
is that the greater good,
yeah,
when you have people like we have today that are of significant importance denying the facts of science. So, without a vaccine, we can guarantee so many deaths.
yeah.
With a vaccine, and that's what I'm saying.
And
is,
there's side effects to everything.
but
so.
to a certain
and even
degree
if we
too,
find
though.
a vaccine for
Oh,
corona,
no, but to a certain degree, it goes leaps and bounds. Global warming.
Yeah.
There's
oh,
to-
that was another conspiracy.
to be
that I
a
kinda looked into.
denier. To
Yeah.
be a denier, and be wrong, is way worse
Yeah.
than being a believer and being wrong.
But I can even attain to to global warming, because I remember as a kid, I would put sunscreen on once that day, go out all day, and never get a sunburn. I mean, even if it was like the first or whatever. And now I'm putting on sunscreen every 30 minutes, like even if I don't even go in the water, because like I just get burned and burned and burned. So.
And skin
regardless-
cancer is a real thing.
Oh,
I mean, skin
100%.
cancer. Like my
Freckles
mother's had skin cancer, and it's been a life threatening thing. That at some point, this is what I'm saying. If you want to tell younger people
Yeah.
that skin cancer isn't dangerous and go out and enjoy it, But this is okay. So let's look at skin cancer the same way we look at COVID. And go, you know what? Don't social distance. Don't do this. Go out in the sun. Don't put sunscreen on. Do whatever you want because it's your personal preference.
Yeah.
At
If you
some
wanna
point,
yeah.
at some point.
But that
It
doesn't
is.
affect other people, though.
Right.
That just specifically
But,
affects them.
but what I'm saying is, if
But yeah,
you
I
want
get
to
your-
ignore
Yes.
logical advice,
Oh, yeah.
and not only do
Because
that,
they want to do what they want to do.
but not only do that, but take the argument of going, you know what? They shouldn't tell us what to do. So then you get into discussions not as to what's right and what's wrong. You get into discussion, or not science. I can't help it. but the whole thing is like we're arguing about what you think versus what I think. When
Yeah.
I think that there should be a doctor, scientist, or somebody who
When
knows better to tell us what
But
to
the
do.
thing is, my main thing was, when I went to my doctor when I was pregnant, I was like, would you vaccinate your kid? Like, what do you think? I was like, I've read all this stuff, and I know it's high, and I was like, thank God I'm having a girl, because if I was having a boy, it would freak me out, because it's so high in boys to get autism, especially now. Like,
Right.
for kids to get autism, it's just, the percentage is ridiculous. Like, it's out of this world. And so it's just scary as a parent. So I was very happy to have a girl, but I was just like, fuck, if I vaccinate her, like, and then my friend was just like, she had a boy, and she's like, I saw it in his eyes, like, what the effects, because after your kid gets a shot, they get a fever. It is the hard, like, it's like the hardest 2 or 3 days after your kid goes for because they have their certain time spans where they have to go and get all their vaccinations, all their shots, whatever.
Absolutely.
And their fever goes up. So people are kind of against it, but my mom's like, feed her Tylenol before you go, and as soon as she gets her shot, because that's usually like a 4-hour
Right.
span. So I did it every time. I gave her little, however much I could give her as a baby to a toddler before she went and got shots. And I mean, she would be a little fussy, but because like I did that to like prevent the fever and all that stuff, she was actually pretty great. And I was glad that I did that, and I'm glad my mom said that, because there's people who are like, I mean, shots are like some of the most detrimental times as a parent to take your kids. So that could also help. People can just go get their kids vaccinated and not like prevent the fever, and maybe the fever is what does it. I don't know. But this will be the end of our round 3 conspiracy theories. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're a little off the rim with our sex talk, but we're kind of intellectuals too, somewhat.
And we gotta stretch our legs every now and again and get away from it and see. And you know what? I think that you'll enjoy going on these rides with us.
Exactly, 'cause
and then coming back into the sex topic. So
and even in our sex episodes, we kind of go off on a tangent. So we don't want you to just think that we're just about sex. Like we do want to help you discover things and you know.
And let us know what you think about this episode.
Absolutely.
Did you
So,
like the conspiracy?
First off, if you're watching now and you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel. Please, we are on the hunt for 1,000 subscribers, and every subscriber counts. Please help us. And also like, share, and comment on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I try to message you as much as possible. I'm always checking. And we would love to hear about what we should record next and your concerns.
And you know what? If you comment on this episode about some kind of conspiracy that you're interested in, I mean, this is the kind of thing that we could revisit and we could have some fun with.
And I love to research about stuff that I don't know about, because there's a lot of things that I researched today. I didn't know about most of these conspiracy theories, so it's fun to get involved with you guys. So.
And if you get in touch with us, we're gonna at some point try and start to incorporate some callers.
Yeah,
and so also, maybe we'll do something like that.
And if you want to stay anonymous, you can just message us, and we will take your concerns. I have a couple people who have talked to me, and we're going to have some episodes on some concerns that they have, and they're going to stay completely anonymous, but I'm going to research the topic for them because they want to know more about it, and they want to hear more about it from other people. So, and if you don't want to stay anonymous, we'll give you a shout-out. So, hopefully you guys stay tuned for the next episode. And thank you guys so much for basically supporting us, and everything.